5, so we have a little bit of safety margin, but with the time of plugging and so on, I should stop speaking and we should call our first speaker.
Okay.
Do you want to pick one? The first one.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So, Martin Lelep.
Nope. Pardon? No, no. Like I'm waiting for the... there we go. Okay, can I go? Okay. Yeah, hello, welcome to my presentation, bringing open source handwriting recognition to your notes with PyTorch. My name is Martin, and I just moved to Berlin in order to work in AI runtime security. And one of the big privileges of my job is that I can learn, or have to learn, continuously. And for me, the most efficient way to do so really is to take notes, typically handwritten, like back in the days at school and at uni. Just that back then I did it on paper, now I do it on a digital device. So when you then take these notes for your learnings, I always feel a bit paranoid about commercial solutions because they tend to try to vendor lock you. Some of the advantages of handwritten digital notes are obviously that you can share them, edit them, and search them. But in particular, the export to editable formats are often quite crippled. One big solution is, of course, open source. And one of the biggest projects in that regard is a software called Xournal++. It has now 14,000 stars on GitHub. It has an estimated user base of maybe 100,000 users, and then probably around 1 million documents or so exist in that particular format, which is completely open source and you can take it wherever you want to. However, there arises another small problem, namely that you lose one of the big benefits of digital handwritten notes, namely you cannot search them. Searchable handwritten notes are a completely solved problem for commercial solutions, but there exists nothing in the open source space. And that's the reason why I would like to show you my small weekend hobby project called Xournal++ HDR. Xournal++ is a software, HDR means handwritten text recognition. As of now, there exists a solution that runs on Linux. It is installable, it uses PyTorch under the hood. And you can see some of my notes from 2019 on topological data analysis. The right part is the node as is, and the left part is the node after it has been fed through the project, and you can see the bounding boxes and the text which you can now search, and for example, if you fancy put in your rec pipeline or whatever you want to do. Of course, in the production setting, the bounding boxes are not there, they are only there for visual purposes. The architecture is very simple. You have Xournal++ written in C++, it exposes a Lua API, and therefore I wrote a small wrapper around a Python script in Lua. That Python script is a command line interface, and it interacts with the PyTorch models. And the cool thing about that is that it runs all locally, so it's supposed to run on the user's laptops. The conclusion is, therefore, happily, that Xournal++ HDR is on track to make millions of Xournal++ nodes searchable. And that can also be seen by some traction on GitHub. It has now reached 100 GitHub stars, despite being a very niche project, of course. Nevertheless, I do have a call for help. That's one of the reasons why I take the stage today. It is that the installation process for Linux only currently is a pain, and I'd love to expand that to making it a better installation process and being available on Mac, Windows, and Linux. So if you know anyone, please send them in the direction of my LinkedIn to the left, show them maybe my GitHub repository, and yeah, send them to me. There's free coffee at stake. Last but not least, if you want to experiment with the latest model, because there are a lot of cool modeling challenges in finding handwritten text, you can scan the last code on the right, which is a Hugging Face demo, where you can supply images, and then you can see where these handwritten words are located, without transcription at that point. And with that, I'm done.
And he even finished 1 minute early, so that was a lightning talk. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next speaker is Sarah Wax.
Oh no. Cool. I don't know which screen I'm sharing, so sorry. I'll do it without slide, whatever. Hi, I'm Sarah. My talk is A Tale of Containers, Cake, and Prehistoric Dating Apps. Or, in other words, why am I even here? Or maybe it's just an ad, we'll see. Little disclaimer. So, some of the information in this talk is based on my memory, and it might not be always entirely accurate. So, yeah, please verify from more reliable sources. Yeah, you would see now a beautiful picture of the conference agenda. And this morning, I was looking at it and looking at the talks I wanted to see, and then something caught my eye. And it was a name, and I was like, I've seen this name before. And the name was Jerome Fetazzoni. And I was like, where have I seen this name before? And then a very faint memory came back to me from an event that was 9 years ago, more than 9 years ago. It was 2016 in an office of a still existing dating app called Lavu. I don't know if anyone knows that. It was prehistoric times when online dating was migrating to apps and stuff. And it was about Docker. And I was a student at the time, and it was the first ever community event workshop that I went to. And it was very scary, because I was a student, I've never been to something like that. I didn't know anything about Docker. And I thought it was Rails girls, but with some research into my email account, I figured out it was actually a Women Who Go workshop, which was then the first community that I ever been a part of. And over the years, it wasn't only Women Who Go, it was Rails girls, it was Women Who Code, it was PyLadies. There was probably a couple of more that I'm not mentioning, open source diversity, women tech makers, all the others. And this first event was such a core memory because it just made me feel so, I don't know, inspired to go to more events and to be a part of it. And at some point, I also realized that I could contribute to making such events happen. And yeah, this is what I have done. At some point, I joined Women Who Code. I met Jessica from PyLadies. We've done a lot of joint events together. And what I'm trying to say is I feel like these events are not just important to give people a space to learn and connect and meet other people. It's also very important to have all these niche communities to make everyone feel included and connected and feel like they have a space at the table and they can contribute something. And what I want to ask you and what you would see on the slide is my call to all of you to make sure that you also support your local communities, whatever they may be, because it's hard work. We all do this in our free time. And there's always something we need. A host, a speaker, whatever. So yeah, if you find it in your heart to also give back to the community, find one that's local to your city, reach out, ask your company to host, give a talk, or do whatever else you want to contribute. Thank you so much. Sorry for the advertising.
I do remember that workshop in 2016 at Lovu. The offices was not far from here. That was a cool workshop, and I mean, I would love to do another similar workshop with another organization here in Berlin soon, maybe about Kubernetes that time, just in case. But without further ado, the next one is going to be
Nastia. Yeah. Okay. Yes, works. Okay. Now, step 2, share the presentation. No. Great. No. Second try. Yes. Great. So, visibility is weird. Let's make it a bit less weird. Someone once told me, how about you just shut up and do your job? And that's another side of the coin, right? Because if all you have up your sleeve is vibe coding, sooner or later you would run into problems, because visibility should reflect real work and not make it up. So how do you do it? How many of you have ever been asked a question, what did you do last week, and completely blanked? Raise your hands. Yeah, me too, I have to check Git all the time. So the best time to start tracking your work was last sprint, and the second best time is tomorrow. So write down what you do every day. It doesn't have to be fancy, just what did I actually do? That includes learn something new, tried this for 3 days, still couldn't solve it, and we should really try this or that. Also, while you are at it, start a what the fuck notebook. Write down every what the hell at this moment you hit. It will be very useful during retros. Right, next one. In corporate cultures, presentations are a weapon of mass influence. So, let's talk. Want to talk about tools? Don't just show up saying, tool A is cool, I guess. Do the homework. What problem are you solving? Is it slow builds, repetitive UI work, messy handoffs? What tools are out there, not just the flashy ones you saw on Twitter? What trade-offs matter to your team? Is it performance, learning curve, ecosystem, price? Put it in a presentation, keep it short. Memes are optional but preferred. And bonus tip, don't be afraid to say, I'm not sure which one is better, but here's what I found. Right, talked about what the fuck notebooks, let's talk about retrospectives. This is where you get to say, this was dumb, but ideally with timestamps and bullet points, because otherwise you're just hoping someone remembers that weird bug from Tuesday. They won't. So back it up with data. If you don't, it's just venting. Be specific. Don't dump everything sucks on the team. Was it unclear spec or the fact that the ticket title said minor fix and took 5 days? Saying something like, no one is following the code cell again is totally fine, but try to come up with at least one idea of fixing it, even if it's just, can we schedule the meeting about this next week? And negative points if you just sigh dramatically and go silent. All right. Second question. Who here has said everything is fine on a daily stand-up when it absolutely wasn't? Of course, we have all been there, so let's talk about stand-up anti-patterns. Still working on it. Third day in a row? Are you fighting the code or your will to live? No blockers. Block doesn't mean catastrophic failure. If you're stuck, say you're stuck. Same as yesterday. At some point, that starts sounding like I have magically disappeared and no one should go looking. Everything's fine. When everyone says fine and then production breaks, we will all find out it wasn't. Monologue mode. 5 minutes, 1 update, 0 punctuation. Not when there are 9 other people wondering if they can go make coffee. Refactored business logic. Congrats, you have just said nothing in 3 impressive sounding words. Was it a cleanup, or should QA be concerned? No updates. If literally nothing happened, something is probably wrong. Blink twice if you need help. So ask yourself, could someone else repeat what I just said and sound like they know what I'm doing? Last but not least, feedback. 7 tips. Without it, you're guessing. Be specific. Asking, how do you like my work, is like asking a colleague, so how's the weather? The answer is going to either be vague or weird. Pick the right moment. Friday, 6 p.m. and post-prod crisis are survive moments, not feedback moments. Ask regularly. Listen. Don't react with, yeah, but you will never get honest feedback again. Ask follow-ups and say thank you, even if you're internally screaming. Last one, take action. You don't have to apply every piece of feedback, but if you don't apply any, nothing changes. So pick one thing from this talk, try it for 2 weeks, and that's it. Thank you.
Our next victim, speaker is going to be
Fabrizio.
This is the greatest struggle, computers being computers. You getting anything? Told you. Oh, there you go. All right, all right, all right. Let me see what you're seeing. That's nice. Okay, okay, I see. Let me then move everything to that space. It's number. Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me just move that there. Oh, that kind of worked. Oh, no, I don't see my mouse. Anyways, let me just see if I can. Huh. I'm getting into big trouble here. Wait a second. Then I guess I will try to do. Oh, well, we'll see. Anyways, my name is Fabrizio. I wanted to share with you a little project that, yes, if you already saw something like this, it's because I was here, but there is a little bit of an update in the project, so I wanted to share that with you anyways. And it's about Cron expressions. So let me show you what they are and what this project is about. So basically, you sometimes have a configuration like this one, where you have this string that you see here after the word cron that describes when, for example, this GitHub workflow should run. And these expressions are very useful, kind of very expressive. You can say things like, OK, run every second hour of every third day of the first week of the months June through September of the years. You get the point. But they're kind of difficult to parse, especially for humans. So whenever I look at them, my brain goes a bit like that. And typical humans, at least all the ones that I know, do is they copy that string, they go to the internet, paste that, play around with that string until they find something they like. They copy that again, go back to the editor, and paste that, cross the fingers. And that's kind of cumbersome and not really ergonomic, at least to my taste. So it would be great to stay all the time in the editor and being able to edit this string and at the same time knowing what's going on. And that's exactly what this plugin is doing. So this is a plugin for the NeoVim text editor. It's just one of the possibilities you have out there of choices of editors. It goes like this, and this is computers being computers. So this is the plugin in action. You're editing a text file inside your editor, and it will find automatically where the Cron expressions are, and will show you this hint. You see there every second or every other minute, whatever. So it shows, like in a human-readable sentence, what the string actually means. You can turn that off. For example, there is a command you will see now that says, hey, disable this. You can keep on editing or whatever, it will still work. Well, it kind of jumped ahead, but you can re-enable that if you want. It will detect all of them, or will try to detect all of them. Yeah, and that's basically it. And the nice thing that I wanted to share with you, like the update on the project, that actually comes from an issue that someone posted on the repo, is that so far, the way it was architectured, kind of behind the scenes, was that it was blocking. Here we don't see it because it's just so fast. But if you have a file with many of these expressions, you might feel the pain. So I will show now an example where you will see the old kind of interface and the new interface. So this is where the asynchronous kind of nature comes to see. Look, I tried to open a file, and as you saw, it took a while. I will repeat that now, but it took a while until it showed up. And the new version, it opened up immediately, and while rendering, so this is the old one. It's blocking until all the expressions are there, and the new one, I can open the file and right away keep on moving. As you see, the API is non-blocking. So that is the kind of new refactor that took a while of understanding how the internals of this, again, asynchronous machinery behind the scenes works. And this is all it takes, really, for you to get going with this configuration, with this plugin. You add that couple lines to your configuration, and you're ready to go. The plugin is kind of like a bit of a client, like a framework that will allow you to stitch together different pieces. So, for example, you can define your own explainer, the thing that actually renders the string, for example, and add it to this explainer. And as long as it is available in your command line, this plugin will find it. Anyways, so if you have more time, you can tailor your configuration a little bit more, but for now, that's all I wanted to show you. This is the code for the QR code that leads you to the code in the repo. You can check more examples there. There's extensive explanations there on how to get started and how to parse different kinds of expressions and everything you need to get started, hopefully. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks. And our next speaker is
Marco Sorelli. Marco?
Yep.
Okay.
Am I audible? Yeah, hopefully.
This is going to be a completely serious lightning talk without any memes. Sorry to disappoint. All right. All right, let's make this a bit bigger, and let's start by importing pandas as PD, because that's the law. I'm then going to make a pandas data frame. Let's take a look at this beauty. Why are people laughing at anything I'm saying? I think you're anticipating that I'm going to make some jokes, but no, this is a completely serious lightning talk. So first things first, I'm now going to increment the values of columns A and B by 10. So I'm going to use method chaining. I'm going to say df.assign A equals lambda x A plus 10. And I'm going to say B equals lambda x B plus 10. Now, can anyone give a completely serious answer as to what this is now going to print out? It's not an interview, don't worry, not going to hold your answer against you. You what, mate? Oh, yeah, it's going to print a data frame, but what's going to be in the data frame? All right. We got this. Cool. So now I'm going to say that this is going to get a bit repetitive if I have to do it for a lot of columns. So I'm going to make a dictionary comprehension. Yeah. Let's get clever about it. Let's see if we can live code a dictionary comprehension. Not like that. So I think I need to change the equals to a colon. And then instead of A, I'm going to make this a variable. So let's type name. And then let's put name here. And we'll do this for name in A, B. All right. Now, what is this going to print? Anyone think it's not going to be the same? Okay, I've seen a few people raising their hands, probably anticipating that this was a trick question. And indeed, my presentation is without memes, but it is with tricks. So here you go. This is an example of WTF Python, where the scoping rules don't work as you might be expecting them to. So what do we do about this? Well, I've got an ace up my sleeve, because you see what I've got here is the development version of Python Pandas 3.0. And that means we can already replace it with pd.col, and then it will give you the result you are actually expecting. Hey. Cheers, thank you. And so using pd.col is not just a statistic thing because I like polars. It also helps you to prevent actual real bugs. So that's what I wanted to show, but I've been shown the 2-minute piece of paper, so I'm going to use those 2 minutes. So before we go any further, if you were to use the lambda expression and you were just to print this, then you get a totally opaque repro, which is impossible to interpret. But if you print pd.col A plus 10, then you get something that's actually human readable. So I hope that you will now go out and express yourself just like Polars wants to, and just like Pandas will soon encourage you to. Thanks everyone for your attention, and please have a nice rest of your lightning talks.
And also, I think that was the fastest video output record so far. So let's see if we can make even better for the next talks.
Adrian. Adrian? Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe I have a
Nice.
this. Let's see if it works.
Yes. So, you know, sometimes I want to do stuff, and if I want to do stuff, sometimes I create environments. Why not? And then I activate them. Sometimes I install things in it. And then you can run Python, and then you can do stuff. Sometimes in that Python environment, I want to know what packages are installed and what versions they are and where they are exactly located. I can go look it up and see how I can do that. Or I was talking to this great friend of mine, he's a great guy, who has a package who already does that. But I don't really trust him, so I go and I actually look at the code. I'm like, okay, like, is the code like doing what it's supposed to be doing? There isn't much there. There's this file. I look at the file. Looks pretty legit. I don't know, there's this init thing. Look at it. Looks pretty okay. Okay, then I can install that and use it. And also, it even has like a great README, and it tells me exactly what it does. It has a Python API, CLI, everything. Great, so let's install that. Installed it. Now I can run Python and then use it, right? So let's run Python. What? So what happened? What happened is that sometimes things can run when you run Python. How does that happen? The thing that made that happen is in your environment, you can have things that end in PTH. And things that end in PTH are designed to make sure libraries can be imported. They are designed to be running a single line, that's by design, and that single line is supposed to change the path, maybe, do stuff that this library can be imported. But it's a single line of Python code, and you can put whatever you want in that single line of Python code. And then this one, if I look at it, has what was run. If I want to disable that, I can do python-s. And what you're disabling here is import site.main. But usually, if you run Python, all of those are run. And there are like legit cases where it makes sense. That's why it exists in Python. You don't know if it exists when you install a library. And if you look at this repo, it doesn't have a PTH file. Because in the modern days, I can actually use Hatchling, and Hatchling build has this nice plugin, autorun, and then you can write any like arbitrary string, and it converts that into the PTH file that runs for you. So be careful out there.
And I think we have one talk left, so by virtue of elimination, the last speaker should know who they are.
It's Steven.
Everyone. Hi. So I'm Stephen. I'm a data scientist from Lightfoot in the UK. And this is my first talk at a PyData conference ever. Thank you. And my talk is in praise of documentation. Yeah. You're digging it already. Or my opinionated lament on the life and death of literate programming. A lament means to express sadness and feeling sorry about something. And I have one simple message from my talk, which is please document your code. No, please. I beg you. Please document your code. I love writing documentation. Does anyone else love writing documentation? A small number of people. I'm giving the right message. I've discovered not everyone else feels the same way as us. Once they've finished a ticket or a sprint, or I found once they've built an entire data infrastructure for a small company, people tend to move on straight away. They immediately move on to the next project. They just write the code, expect people to understand it, and they leave the documentation in their head, maybe so they can't get fired. Please don't do this. I've seen terrible things in my time. I've seen completely uncommented SQL scripts the length of War and Peace. I've seen no data dictionary after a consultancy installs an entire Azure data lake with 9 billion rows. And I've seen a whole data analytics pipeline in Excel, of course. So by documentation, I don't mean to hard code the login and password to the production database in your Python script, which I've also seen. Instead, please do things like tell people how you did what you did. Please explain your assumptions and why you did it in the way that you did it. And how about write for a newbie or an alien who has just landed on Earth and got a job at your company? So please use things like docstrings, which is that little quote that you see in a function or a class. You could use cool little documentation tools like Sphinx. Has anyone tried Sphinx? A few more people. Try fun scientific publishing tools like Quarto. Has anyone tried Quarto? Very small number of people. Quarto is the best thing since sliced bread, as we say in the UK. Who uses Jupyter notebooks? A lot more people. Do look at Quarto if you're using Jupyter, because it's super cool. So my calls to action, please document your code, be literate in your programming, and don't hard code the login and password to the production database in your Python script. Thanks very much.